Okay, so this video is a little different because today is my birthday, so I was going to take today off and waste away in front of the TV, but here's what I'm doing instead. I'm spending today raising money for voter registration groups. Am I trying to guilt you into donating by letting you know that I'm working on my birthday? Yes. So why am I doing this? Because we're in a situation where we are relying on Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema to change their minds on the filibuster despite never changing their minds on the filibuster. And so if we aren't able to pass voting rights, then our last line of defense, our only line of defense, our only weapon against the Republican anti-democracy machine is putting in the time and registering voters one by one in these key states. We cannot wait for anyone else to save us. We have to be prepared to save ourselves. Now, most of you are aware by now that I started the Don't Be a Mitch Fund, named to ensure that Mitch McConnell never again becomes Senate Majority Leader. And while it was initially started to focus on Senate seats, the fact is that if we can register voters in key swing states, that'll help with House races and the race for president too. Registering voters helps with every race down the ballot. All upside and no downside. As of this recording, we've raised over $700,000. In our initial slate of recipients, we raised between $75,000 and $85,000 for each organization, including Advanced Carolina, Black Leaders Organizing for Communities, or BLOC in Wisconsin, Florida Rising, Iowa CCI, Lucha in Arizona, New Georgia Project Action Fund, Pennsylvania Stands Up, and Stand Up for Ohio. Now donations are going to Powered by People in Texas, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and 3 donor tables, which are basically umbrella organizations that distribute money within states where it's most needed. And those donor tables are in Arizona, Florida, and Pennsylvania. And to be clear, all donations go through ActBlue, which means I don't see a dime of it. The money goes directly to these groups. The fact is that with or without voting rights legislation, the threats being posed by an overtly authoritarian Republican Party are too great to ignore. We're being attacked on every front. The GOP has passed voter suppression legislation, eliminated drop boxes in Democratic population centers, closed down polling places in minority-majority precincts, gerrymandered congressional districts, allowed Republican-led state legislatures to reorganize local elections boards. They've literally even banned food and drinks in lines. They have and continue to normalize violence as a political tool, not just with their everyday rhetoric, but through their actions. January 6th is a clear and present example. And as if that wasn't bad enough, the fact that virtually every Republican is now carrying water for Trump, either by claiming January 6th was a false flag or some deep state setup or a tourist visit or Antifa, is just further evidence of the fact that not only do they not regret January 6th, they are actively setting the stage for it to happen again. Which is why it's especially important that Democrats not lose either chamber of Congress in midterms this year. We already know that Republicans won't certify the election if a Democrat wins because they do not believe that any Democratic victory is legitimate. They fundamentally don't believe that Democrats have the right to win elections. If we don't fight tooth and nail, if we don't have every possible voter registered, and we lose either chamber of Congress, the implications will be devastating and far-reaching. Not only for our agenda, meaning no climate change legislation, no women's reproductive rights legislation, no child tax credit, no child care, no universal pre-K, but the same election subversion that Trump attempted in 2020 will happen again in 2024. And whereas there were Republican secretaries of state and other elected officials who thwarted Trump's efforts to undermine that election in 2020, those people are now gone, replaced with loyalists and lackeys who exist to serve the GOP's deity. That is not a risk we can take. So if you can, please consider donating. If not for my birthday, which I know is everyone's top priority, then do it to protect our democracy. The issue is foundational. If you care about climate, about workers' rights, about women's rights, about healthcare, then you have to make sure that we're in power to actually focus on those things. You can find the link to the fund in the post description of this video, or you can go to don'tbeamitch.com. You can also check out my website, briantylercohen.com/shop, and check out the merchandise. We have shirts, hoodies, mugs, totes, phone cases, and masks. And I donate 100% of the profits for anything Mitch-related directly to the fund. Again, every single dollar spent on Mitch-related merchandise is donated right back to the fund by myself. So buy yourself a hoodie. I promise they're comfortable. Anyway, that's my pitch. I wholeheartedly believe in this fund. I personally vetted every organization. They're doing good work and they know what's on the line. So if you live in a state where you don't feel like you can make a big impact in person, consider donating to someone who can. Donate to the Don't Be a Mitch Fund today and do your part to protect our democracy. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work, subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I cover the most important stories each week, and my guest is always one of the top political figures, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Nancy Pelosi, Katie Porter, Cory Booker, and so many more. The podcast link is also right here on this screen, so give it a listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.